Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Search. I'm Elliot Manning, the Managing Director of Recruitment, Rec specialist in the UK and US. This week I'm joined by a very good client of ours, Consol Partners, with Sean Schwarz, who is the Contract Sales Director. Sean, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Sean Schwarz, been in the industry now since my early 20s, so around about 20 years recruitment experience from the ground up, pretty much working from resourcer to director level. Been with Consol now, it's my 12th year. Seen meteoric progress of Consol Partners, which resulted in a sale in 2016. So been pretty proud of the fact that building the contract division resulted in a good opportunity for Consol to go through the sale. And over the last 3 years under Empresaria, which is a group, are now our holding company, we've been consolidated and resulted in all of the shares in the organisation now being owned by Empresaria. So yeah, it's been a bit of a mad ride, a bit of a roller coaster over the last, as I say, 12 years working. Coming into the organisation, weirdly, we started it in a recession. So it's quite poignant that we're having the conversation now about my career, but also knowing that we're going through similar and probably the most weirdest situation over the last, well, our generation, I suppose, Elliot.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I actually interviewed at Consol about when he was in St. Paul's, and this was a very long time ago, and I met with Mark before he moved out to the LA office, and everything sort of changed from there. So, I mean, I've been aware of you guys for a really, really long time, and the growth and where you guys have got to is just unbelievable. And we're now working with you out in the LA and Texas as well. Yeah. But generally, from a London perspective, you know, the guys here at Cayman and, you know, have you know, loved working with you and the business and everything about you guys. But I mean, if we can sort of backtrack into this, Sean. So, resourcer to director, how can you sum up that journey, you know, in a short summary?
Yeah, I mean, I first started at a company called ECI, Human Capital, which weirdly were an offshoot, I believe, of James Cahn's organisations. They kind of had a method, a 30-step method to recruitment. I cut my teeth kind of looking at the kind of Management Recruiters International. So I learned how to headhunt, and like phone lists when LinkedIn wasn't available and we didn't have databases. So we were working off pump cards and
yellow pages,
Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was really basic. I mean, recruiters now don't know how easy they've got it with all the technology at their disposal, the software platforms and social media platforms and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much how I cut my teeth. You know, around about 1999, and again working for a very I want to say it was going to be well established, but two directors that had a vision to grow out headhunting in IT, and worked for a chap called Steve Plant, who I believe was ex-Glotel S3, and another chap who's one of their senior billers called Nikhil, who's I think he's now a professional poker player, but I stayed in recruitment. Steve's, I think, out in Singapore, again working for a big recruitment firm out there. But I started literally as the T-boy, I suppose. It was literally just phone times. And I didn't want to kind of make the tea for very long. So I kind of tried my hardest to smash the phone and do the basics really, really well. And that resulted, I think, in the first 6 weeks doing 6 deals for a company called Siemens, another company called CMG at the time. And yeah, literally, I was pretty much promoted within 3 months. I was the first recruit to go through their training that didn't come from university, which was weird for them. They were all kind of focused on obtaining individuals from like kind of red brick universities, which was a bit weird. I actually started out in mobile phones, so my background was selling mobile phones, and then logical progression for me was to get into technology and software that was related to mobile networks and mobile devices. So yeah. I pretty much established myself very, very quickly within the first 12 months. newcomer of the year, and second, third year within the top three. Each year on year, billing just over £500,000 worth of net fee income. So got to a point where it was pretty well established. 4 or 5 years at ECI. Moved from resourcer to consultant to senior consultant to mentoring a team of 6 within a 3-year period. So yeah, it was quite a quick rise, and the money was good. At that age, you don't know what to do with it, so you buy yourself a house and you kind of try and spend as much as you can and buy some lovely things. But equally, it was a great foundation to recruitment, and also kind of set me in good stead for the rest of my career.
So, tell me, when you were, progressing, through the years, how did you know, the management route was for you, where you wanted to go to? How did you not want to continue with the £500,000 years as a principal and just not have that responsibility?
Well, I suppose the billing manager route was always an interesting prospect. Tough job, but if you were billing and you had a substantial contract book, and then you were managing a team and you were getting an override, so that was a little bit appealing. And to get up the corporate ladder, I suppose as well, you have to start to kind of think about managing teams and how you develop businesses. And probably when I was at ECI and given the opportunity, I suppose it was just giving back. And one of the things I've quite enjoyed during my career is to see how I can help individuals grow and get to a level where they're happy and hopefully either emulate what I've done or do better. And it's even more fulfilling when you see somebody doing better than you've actually done yourself. So that was really for me the primary factors of going into kind of management, team leading, then management, and then into being a director.
Who taught you? Where did you learn the skill set from? Was it natural? Was it like from books or mentoring? Or
yeah, maybe from a mentoring point of view, and still to this day, the chap who gave me my first job in mobile phones, a chap called Steve, he was really a guy who mentored me and gave me my first break, and that for me was the ability to work with slightly older, more experienced people who just gave you advice, and the way he managed me and the way he trained me. But moving into recruitment was completely kind of alien to me. Chap I worked with at Odyssey, the mobile phone shop, was taken over by Carphone Warehouse at the time. Chap called Simon. He got into IT recruitment and was making pots and pots and pots of cash. I was like, how do I get out of this and move into recruitment? He said, you just got to do it. And I spoke to a rec to rec, weirdly, and it was a mad one. I spoke to a rec to rec who put me in touch with ECI, and they had a really good training program. I went through 4 or 5 interviews with them, gave a presentation around mobile networks and mobile devices, and for me that was the kind of the turning point, I suppose. And the good thing, from ECI's perspective, it was just constant training, and that was kind of in their DNA. It was the fabric of the organisation, where you were doing kind of group training sessions, role plays. And that's how you cut your teeth. You cut your teeth in front of your peers, and ultimately that resulted in good feedback, how you can improve, how you can tweak your pitches, how you can adapt your style, and that was just a way that I was able to kind of hopefully upskill myself and then show individuals that I brought on how to do it.
Were you always targeted to get to the next step, from where you were a recruiter, senior recruiter, manager, etc.? Even if you fast forward to today with Consol, you've started off in a particular role and now you're, the contract director. How did you progress through? What did you have to do for that?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is your business plan at the start of the year. So I was introduced into doing business plans at a very early age, and part of that business plan was to forecast your runner book, but also see how quickly you could progress. And there was always a target to get to move up the ladder, I suppose. And ECI was very similar. I moved on to a company called Eurobase after that, and within 9 months of being at Eurobase, I was then given the managerial job to turn around the London office that was failing, and I turned that around within 3 months and started to build it and got it to 15 heads in 2 years. So the business plans were helpful, being quite close to directors who were again adding and quite pivotal figures in my career as well, who gave me the chance. And I suppose that's what you need. You need the chance.
Yeah.
You need them to believe in you. And I was able to prove myself quite quickly. And that doesn't come down to anything else, but I think just graft. I just grafted. I worked harder than everybody else at that point in time, and to get to that level. And then I was able to then actively delegate down, and I learned how to delegate pretty quickly as well. So from that perspective, understanding how to build, delegate, manage were really key to moving up the ladder.
Any particular challenges you remember? Any instances where you just think, you know what, if I could go back and I'd change this, or you'll never forget the time when this happens? Anything?
Loads of challenges, and challenges people, challenges with clients. I mean, if the one thing though that I'll say to you, Elliot, is I never look back and with regret. I mean, you learn from every experience. So if you can learn from every experience, every challenge, and things that have happened to you, be it good or bad, that for me was quite a relief to look at, how you could have dealt with something differently. I suppose losing my contract book at ECI within a week, having 25 contractors out at Ericsson, and then literally being told that all projects have been cut. I mean, that for me was probably the biggest challenge in my early career, of how to adapt and change markets. Yeah. And within three to 4 months of that happening, going from earning 6 figures to basically earning your basic monthly salary was it was a kick in the teeth, but it made you resilient. And I've always worked on the basis of, if you don't sell, you don't eat. And it's down to you. I worked commission only for a while whilst I was in mobile phone sales. So you literally had to go out and pitch new customers every single day. And if you didn't sell, you didn't make any money. So I just adopted that philosophy throughout my career. And every day is a new day, and every day you've got to go out and sell. That maybe sounds a bit cheesy, but that was pretty much the philosophy and the mindset. But yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from losing a contractor base and building yourself back up again, and changing markets and being resilient and adapting. The ability to change markets and reinvent yourself is super important in recruitment. Yeah, fine.
So fast forward into today, have you been getting on with COVID lockdown in your position with, people, that you're responsible for? How have you managed to deal with that? Have you put anything into place that helped you? Did you prepare? Did you just sort of wing it? Like, how did you get through with it?
Just got to wrap them up. Existing clients are super important. Winning new clients in this environment and this period is not easy. They've been able to stick with their general PSL. I mean, we've had opportunities to pitch on new projects and tenders, which has been good, which maybe result in 2021 looking like we'll have some new logos. So it's a good opportunity to consolidate, good opportunity to re-strategize. We as a business, beginning of the year, changed tact and moved from kind of team-based pods to kind of splitting the business into sales and recruitment. That's why I took on the sales division, essentially for Consol. And I think, lessons learned, no one's got a crystal ball, Elliot. No one knew that this was going to happen. So in terms of consolidating, I think consolidation and re-strategizing has been the kind of the main focus that I've had over the last 3-4 months, and just keeping the ship steady. I think that's one of the things. We had a 20 to 30% drop off number of contractors being released. So yeah, it's not been easy, but equally, we've weathered the storm, and where some firms were super super affected by it, and they had to let people go. We were fairly well insulated, and hats off to our finance director and managing director for keeping people motivated, and but also having the strategy from a financial point of view to ensure that we were going to be insulated by COVID rather than be super well affected. I mean, we're part of a much larger group as well, and we're the IT arm of that. So a lot of eyes on us and a lot of onus on us to produce.
Fine. What would you advise recruiters, that are, sort of in their early stage of career, 4, 5, 6 years into it, that are trying to figure things out and where they want to go to, whether they want to do the management route, they want to, not go down that route, or maybe be in the position that you're in today? What would you say is the pros and cons of it?
Yeah, I suppose one of the things you've got to take into consideration as a principal biller or super biller, you'll 9 times out of 10. I mean, you potentially might earn more money than me. So you've got to think if you're going to go into the management route, then you might take a hit on your commission and your earnings, but you're climbing the corporate ladder, and you've got to distinguish whether or not money or leadership is more important to you, and moving up the corporate ladder for equity or something like that. So for me, I think it was always looking at equity. I always wanted to get something back out of the organisation that I was working for, rather than just be an out and out biller, because that's got a shelf life, to be perfectly honest, and you could potentially burn yourself out, or you'll work 5-10 years and then move and maybe change career. And maybe I looked at recruitment as a career, like a long-term career rather than a short-term career. So you've got to really distinguish what you want to do in life. Do you want a short-term hit and smash it and earn loads of commission and then get out of recruitment, or do you want to climb the corporate ladder and maybe look at equity earn out, building a business, maybe starting a business for yourself in the future? And what leadership and management does is give you that experience.
Can I just ask, and it might be a tough question to answer, what's made you a very strong leader, director, manager? What attributes do you feel like you've implemented to be as good as you are?
I suppose you've got to listen. You've got to understand people. Everybody's different. You probably know that as well. When placing recruiters into jobs, they can change their minds and decisions. So people aren't necessarily products. But yeah, the ability to manage people's expectations and understand personalities, gives you a really, really strong insight into how to be a manager, and hopefully mentor and guide them through their careers as well. And one of the things that I really like to say is that I wouldn't treat anybody how I wouldn't want to be treated myself. I think that's one of the key factors. I'll always try and give back and advise, and if I can't help, I'll find the answer from somewhere else, or I'll try and sanitize my decisions with other leaders and hope to make the right calls. But I suppose the biggest thing is being the ability to listen and understand the individuals that you're working with.
Definitely. No, you said so many good points there. I just made quite a lot of notes. So what's the plan moving forward now, Sean? So where are you at with your team, the business? Where are you looking to get to over the next year or two?
Yeah, I mean the next year is let's get to the end of the year, and I think that's the biggest. I think that's what's the big focus probably for business as a whole and across the globe is let's get to the end of the year and see where we're at. 2020 is, as I say, it's a bogey year. I really wanted 2020. I'm recently married and said to the wife, who weirdly is an employment lawyer, at the beginning of 2020, this is our year. We've just got married, really, really happy. So yeah, for us, getting through this year, and I think for Consol as a whole, is to get through the year, consolidate. We're going through a strategy session this week, funnily enough, where we're all getting back into the office and get back into the swing of things. But we'll look at the teams, we'll look at the tech stacks. We'll align everything. Maybe put some new concepts and some ideas together that will hopefully help the business grow. One of the things I've been quite quite involved with. In fact, it's probably been a mainstay for me during my time at Consol is strategy. So I've always been really looking at tech strategy. Some of my biggest clients are the tech, major tech companies and software companies of this world within telco and infrastructure. So I've always tried to align our teams and our focus with our clients' focus. So teams and pods and teams, should I say, have been always aligned to the verticals of our clientele. So I think this year is all about consolidating and re-strategizing for 2021 and realigning your staff. So, for instance, if some people are struggling in certain markets, maybe we need to adapt and maybe we need to change them into other markets. Maybe we need to look at our clients. Are our clients wasting our time, and should we be focused into other areas? Not in a bad way in terms of wasting our time, but are we making enough placements within our clients to warrant our efforts? And I think that's the biggest factor. We've had some that projects cancelled and then relived, and decision making's been tough. And for us, I think we need to be in markets where they're resilient, but also looking to the future as are they aligned to our strategy as well. And I think there's some customers and some clients, should I say, that we might not work with moving forward, but then ultimately there's going to be others that we've prospected over the course of time that hopefully will be new logos for the future. So I'm very much looking forward to 2021 and the next few months that we can get that strategy right and hopefully put our ideas and concepts into practice.
Fine. So, I mean, just to sum up, look, you've been in the game for 20 years. I feel like you've done like everything across the tech market, as such, and you've been everywhere in terms of from resource up to contracts director, and now you're focusing more on strategy. There's a lot of recruiters out there that, hopefully are going to listen to this and realize that there's a hell of a long way for them to go, and there's a lot for them to do and a lot of different directions that they can take and, to get to where you are and be successful, right? But ultimately, is there any more points that you would say to someone, who's, maybe just started out, anything that you'd say to stick with? I know you've probably said this a couple of times, but just to sort of finish up on a final note, what would you tell them to look out for or potentially do consistently to progress?
Yeah, I think if I was to give that level of advice to somebody who's either cutting their teeth or maybe looking to change market or climb that corporate ladder, is constantly look at yourself and ask yourself questions. Am I doing the basics brilliantly? And I think that's part of it. If you're looking to climb the corporate ladder and go into management, they've got to start with mentoring staff around them and not looking to gain from that. You'll gain personally, but maybe not, but on an economical basis. But I think what you put in is what you get out. It's really simple. Graft is super important. And I think now you've got to graft even harder than you've ever grafted before, because there's less opportunities out there for recruiters with clients. There's more MSPs out there, so people are working on platforms rather than having direct contact with stakeholders. So really pick your clients carefully. I think I'd say pick your clients carefully, pick your staff carefully. I think that's really important. One of the things that we've seen over the last few months and with the candidates that have been sent in by various recruitment companies is that there's a lot of good people out there, and you've got to speak to as many people as you possibly can to make sure that they fit in with your team, your culture, and hopefully your strategy. And for me, I think that's really, really important, is to really, really look at yourself, look at your strategy, consolidate where you are, and hopefully you'll be able to pick the right tech, pick the right market. We're predominantly in Europe, so for us, that's a big thing, is to diversify your business and spread your risk. is one of the things I'd probably say is, spread your risk and look at your strategies is super important.
Cool, fine. And just to wrap up, you guys are hiring at present. For any recruiters that are looking and that are out there at the minute, are you open for them to reach out to you guys? Are you anything particular you want to see from them?
I mean, you'll have my LinkedIn details and profile. So if you're interested in having a conversation, we're actively hiring contract recruiters, 180, because we moved to a kind of a 180 new business and recruiting model at the beginning of the year. So for us, I think, account management and delivery, senior delivery, we're always interested, and that's one part of our business. But then for me, selfishly, I'll say I'm looking for new business guys and sales people that can sell solutions and go in front and be put in front of customers, and actively sell Consol solutions. So for us, absolutely, we're hiring and we're interested in talking to great talent.
Amazing. Are you guys? You said you were doing a strategy to get back in office. You're completely remote.
No, well, we're working on phase one. So phase one's in play now, where we're going back Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So at the moment, it's voluntary. It's not compulsory, but that's a good opportunity for everybody to kind of get a little bit of a flavour of working together again. It's been a mad 16, 17 weeks, maybe 18 weeks now. Lost count with how many weeks we've been working from home. But the strategy meeting and everything else is looking at the rest of the year. It's a bit of a consolidation period for us as a business. Again, it's looking at our customer base, looking at our strategy, go-to-market strategy as well, with our various tech verticals and our teams. So for us, that's super important this week, going into next week, and aligning everything as we need it to be, with our new hires as well.
Amazing. Well, anyone listening in, I'll be putting Sean's details onto the post that I'll be putting out, sharing this podcast. So if anyone wants to reach out to the guys directly, please do. Any questions, obviously ask me, or just go to Sean and ask him directly. If there's any questions, give us a shout. But Sean, I know you're really, really, really busy, so I appreciate your time. And thank you for all of that insight as well into your career path and where you've got to and how you've done it. And hopefully we'll speak very soon. And again, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak to you today, Elliot. And thanks for doing a great job for us.
Pleasure. No worries. I'll talk to you soon.
All the best.
Take care. Bye now.